And it's trash. Hello and welcome, card fighters, to Metamorphosis CFV, where we talk about all things Cardfight Vanguard. Today we'll be going over the new upcoming set, Divine Lightning Radiance, and breaking down what we feel to be the best and worst cards in the set, by clan. Today that happens to be Genesis. So before we get into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Now without any further ado, let's separate the trash from the treasure. Well, starting things off, we'll go with the 5th worst card. I don't want to say worst because that's an operative term. This card could easily have been a good triple rare in a set dedicated to actual support. But with this, let's get into CEO Regalia Yggdrasil. Now Yggdrasil, this would be a good card in a different set. But at a triple rare and a set already divided by two other main focuses for the clan, this really derails it from being an objectively good card. It's nice that they brought back Divine Gauge, but it's awful that it does not mesh well with the already existing cards that already were under-supported. That being said, it does give boost to rearguard cards with Divine Gauge, but that's not near worth enough to make it anywhere near the top 5, and I would not exactly call this a playable card as a deck. Speaking of Regalia, that brings us to the 4th worst card in the set. And yet again, operative word for worst in this case, as it could have easily been a good card in a dedicated set with better support. And it does interact, yet again, with the Divine Gauge as with Yggdrasil. However, in this case, we are talking about Norn, the other Regalia support card in this set. It's got a cute boost ability for restanding units in front of it that are also part of the Regalia set, but yet again, that's where the utility of this card really falls flat. Without any other support to really make use of this, and without more Regalia names, this becomes really situational, and I feel that it just needs better fleshed out. It's objectively not a bad card, but yet again, the set was divided between 3 different directions for this clan to go. So, all that being said, I have to give this card its current ranking. And that brings us to the 3rd card in the worst half of this list, which is Haruthru. She was what I can assume to be the boss for the budget deck of Genesis, which is the Sorcerers and Witches. Kind of a little bit of an eclectic mix-up of support in this set and the previous one, but yet again, it falls for the same issues that Regalia currently is suffering from. No real direction, but it's not a bad card by any means. It's just starved for slots versus everything else that came out in the set. It does have some nice things, but I feel like the Soul Blast ability is a bit slow. It's a Soul Blast of 13 to get its good skill off, and even with enough Sorcerers or Witches on the field, it's still a little steep to pay for its cost. That brings us to the second to last card on the trash side of this list, which is Vahin. This brings us a very simple effect of discard a card when placed and add a normal unit from your soul to your hand. Yet again, we're just scraping the bottom of the barrel on this list, and it's not terrible, but honestly, there's just so many better cards you can play at this slot. Coming up last, and certainly least in this list, is Calmness. It's okay, it's just not really inspiring at all. It's simple as well, on Vanguard, so restrictive on where its ability is even going to come off. Put a card from your hand into your soul, and draw a card. Simple. I don't really know if I would call it effective. On a rear, when placed Soul Charge 1, then if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you get to Soul Charge again and get a 5,000 power boost for the turn. I really don't feel like that's worth a slot compared to some of the other grade 1s in any of the current decks that are viable for Genesis, so I really just have to give this bottom listing. Okay, now that we're through with the trash side of this list, let's get to the actual treasure. Bringing that up, we have a first grade 2 of this section, which is Revoluta. It is pretty good, and I would say flexible ability to, on place, rearguard, counterblast 1, check top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 into your soul, 1 into your hand, and then put 1 onto the bottom of the deck. Next on our list of treasure, we have Becrux and Arcturus. Becrux is a grade 1, and when placed on Vanguard, you get to reveal a Astral Deity or Astral Poet in your hand, counterblast 1, search your deck for the grade 2, which is Arcturus, and Arcturus says counterblast 1 on place when revealing a Astral Deity or Astral Poet again. You get to get a Imaginary Gift Force, and that is really solid for the Astral Poet deck. It also lets you draw a card if you have the previously mentioned Becrux in your soul already. So that's a nice little ride chain interaction right there. Icing on the cake, Arcturus actually counts as +2 in soul, so even things like Fenrir will benefit from that. But we'll talk about Fenrir a little bit later. Next on our list of treasures, we have Vannergander, a grade 3 unit that when placed on Vanguard or Rear, you have a couple of options. As the Vanguard, you get to Soul Blast 1 and blow up the entire board. However, if you are placing him on Rearguard, the Soul Blast will only get you 1 unit sniped. But it's your choice, so Shadow Paladin's envious. And its other ability, on Rearguard, after it attacks, it may place itself into the soul, and then you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pick one of them, put it back on top, and put the other 2 at the bottom, letting you set up drive checks and just a lot of consistency. I feel like this is going to set up a multi-attack, but we'll get to that. And that brings us to the penultimate card on this treasure side of the list. We have Fenrir, one of the 2 Vanguard rares for Genesis in this set. He has 3 great abilities, and he allows for some multi-attack shenanigans with the previous card, Vannergander. Now, once per turn on Vanguard Circle, you may Soul Blast any number of units from your soul to search your deck for a unit with the sum of the cards blasted from your soul. So, you Soul Blast a grade 3, you get a grade 3. You Soul Blast a grade 2 and a grade 1, also get a grade 3. Super simple math. Now, once you have done this and added it to your hand, you may Superior Call that to your field. Easy as pie. Second ability, Vanguard Circle, once per turn. When your card is put into your soul, Vannergander perhaps, put it there from your drop zone, counterblast 1, call one of those cards to the Rearguard Circle. Yet again, lots of synergy. Now, bringing us to the last effect, when it attacks, you may yet again Soul Blast 1 card, and this unit gets plus 10k, so this card doesn't even actually need a booster behind it to be effective in combat. So, yet again, 10 out of 10, but that's not going to put it above the next card on the list. And that brings us to our final card, the goal at the end of the rainbow, Genisis Dragon. Now this card is going to really put Astral Poets up there in competitive, as, yet again, 3 good effects on Vanguard Circle. As much like the other Astral Poets, while you have 5 force markers on your Vanguard Circle, the Rearguard Circle in the middle back row becomes an Astral Plane. Good stuff. Vanguard Circle or Rearguard Circle, when placed. Counterblast 1, search your deck for an Astral Deity. You know, what you want to do. Reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you put a card into your hand, you get an Imaginary Gift Force. That's what you want. And a third effect, which Gear Chronicle would probably give their left arm for, when placed on Guard Circle, you may discard either an Astral Poet or an Astral Deity from your hand, you know, something with 0 shield, and one of your units cannot be hit until the end of battle, so they get another Sentinel, without calling a Sentinel, thereby getting around the 4 per deck restriction. This brings a lot to the table, and I think this will launch Astral Poets up into the upper tiers of play. Now, with all of that said, do you agree with me, or do you think I need some divine intervention of my own? Let us know down in the comments what you think. Until next time, card fighters, may all of your drive checks be crits and your damage zone never floweth over.